In a world where ash falls from the sky and the nobles rule from on high, they have special abilities known as allomancy, which makes it so that they are able to rule with an iron fist. However, their terracemen scribes have their own abilities that they keep hidden from the rest of the world. Hey guys, welcome to this video where I am going to be covering the Feruchemy mod. So, the previous mod that we covered, which is on this side of the wall, which is allomancy, it has this particular wheel of powers, all associated with 16 metals. Now, Feruchemy is the other power system in the Mistborn book series. While allomancy was strictly related to nobles because of book reasons, Feruchemy is also genetically linked to those who have its abilities. So, we're going to go down this line here and explain all the different Feruchemy powers. Now, when you spawn into the world with the allomancy and Feruchemy mods installed, you will spawn with 2 flakes in your hotbar. One of them for your allomancy power, and one of them for your Feruchemy power. However, if both of your powers are the same, which is really good by the way, you'll have 2 flakes in your first slot. Because we're going to be covering Feruchemy, I'm going to get rid of these iron flakes, and we're going to be covering this one that, in this case, would be our Feruchemy power. But how do you access your Feruchemy powers? Well, you have to craft a metal mine. So, metal mines are crafted a bit like a chest. You create a circle, and then you have a metal mine. Now, metal mines on their own don't do anything. If I were to pull up the wheel and start clicking on the ring, as you can see, nothing happens. But then, I can add this flake to the metal mine by right-clicking. And I added a steel flake, but because I did not add the steel Feruchemy power to my list, it does not show up. So if I were to type in / Feruchemy EJ add all, I now have access to all the powers, and as you can see, steel is lit up, and I can activate it. Simple things. Now, normally in survival mode, you only have access to one ability the entire time, unless you use commands. So, if you want to mess around with all these abilities in survival mode, I recommend you turn cheats on to give yourself all of the Feruchemy powers. Although there is a way to gain all the allomancy powers, which means that you can, do that without using cheats. Now, we already covered this in the allomancy mod, but you can use a hand grinder, which is crafted as so, combined with any type of ingot to create more flakes, and then you can add those flakes to your metal mine, making it so you now have access to iron and steel. Now in the creative menu, we have access to the Band of Ritual Mourning, which is used for testing purposes, and I'm going to be putting this into my metal mine curio slot. I forget which one it is. Oh, never mind. It appears to just be a normal curio slot. Oh, never mind. It's not going in. Well, normal metal mines, they can go into curio slots, but apparently not the Bands of Ritual Mourning. However, this allows us to have access to all of the powers infinitely. We can just use everything with unlimited amounts, and as you can see, they're being drained, but they're not empty. Pretty much another short way to say this, I have a testing item, which will let me use everything infinitely. Now we're going to go down the line of all the powers. So, in allomancy, we have 16 powers, and in Feruchemy, we have the same 16 powers. However, in Feruchemy, in order to fill up the bars, for example, if we were to have this metal mine and right-click on our steel ingot, we have a negative effect for a limited time until it becomes full, and then we can left-click up to 3 times for a different positive effect. Now, if you notice, each of those positive and negative effects have opposite things, such as steel. You gain the slowness effect when you are filling it up, but when you are tapping it, you gain swiftness effect, as well as jump boost. This means that while you're doing something that means that you don't necessarily need the positive effect, you can be storing at that time in order to give you the benefits of positive effect later. For example, gold allows you to store hit points to later tap them for regeneration. If you're on full health, just like working around your base, you could just fill up gold while you're doing that, and then tap gold when you are in a difficult situation. Now, some things such as iron don't have a particularly negative effect when you're filling it. For example, when you fill iron, you get the slow falling effect, which is a positive effect. However, while you're tapping iron just to level 1, you do get slowness, but then you tap it twice, and then you can start getting the resistance effects. So when you're tapping at different levels, you obtain differing degrees of power. Okay, now I'm going to go down the line of all of the different powers. So, we have iron, which when you right-click it to store, you get the slow falling effect, meaning that you fall slower and don't take as much fall damage. And when you're tapping it once, you get the slowness effect, but then you tap it at higher levels, left-clicking it more times to gain positive effects such as resistance. And then you get resistance too. Steel allows you to store speed. When you right-click it, you store speed, giving you the slowness effect, making you slow down to a crawl. But when you tap it, you get swiftness, and then you get jump boost when you tap it to the second power. When you tap it to the third power, you're able to zoom around really quickly. Now, tin allows you to store sight. When you fill it up, you get the blindness effect, but when you tap it, you get the night vision effect. And because you can't tap it at further levels, it won't let you do so. Pewter allows you to tap and store strength. When you right-click it, you get the weakness and mining fatigue effect, but when you tap it, you get the strength and haste effects. And when you tap it at higher levels, you do eventually get this knockback effect, which makes it so you deal extra knockback to creatures. Zinc is mental speed, which is a little bit hard to explain, but pretty much when you are tapping zinc, if I were to summon an experience orb, say an experience bottle, as you can see, I'm unable to pick up the orbs, but then when I am no longer tapping zinc, I can do so. So now let's check how much experience I get for a single bottle. So it's like up to here-ish, and now I'm going to tap zinc to high levels. Now I'm going to summon it, and as you can see, I just gained an entire level. So, in other words, when you're tapping zinc, you cannot pick any experience orbs, but when when you're filling zinc, you cannot collect any experience, but when you're tapping zinc, you get significantly more experience. Brass is warmth. When you right-click it, you get the fire resistance effect, which means that you are immune to fire while you're tapping it, or you're filling it. But then you can tap brass at second level or higher, well, just second level apparently, to get the fire aspect effect, which makes it so creatures that you attack will be set on fire. Additionally, while you are tapping brass, you can melt ice nearby as well as snow. Copper allows you to store your experience levels. When you right-click it, you slowly fill in experience, but when you tap copper, you get those experience levels back, albeit slightly less than what you had before. Bronze is wakefulness, and I'm not a huge fan of this one. So when you right-click it, you get the daydream effect, which summons a bunch of phantoms to try to kill you. However, when you tap bronze, you can change it to nighttime or back to daytime. Aluminum is identity. So as you can see, my Metal Mind has a FID on the top, which says that only I can use my Metal Mind. However, if you store aluminum before you store anything else on your Metal Mind, you can make it so other players can use this. This is only really useful for multiplayer if you want to give your Metal Mind to your friends so that they can use the powers within it. Duralumin is connection. When you right-click, you get the Bad Omen effect, which means that you can trigger raids whenever you want with this effect. But when you tap it, you get the Hero of the Village effect. Chromium, it's a really interesting one. You store luck. So when you right-click it, you get the Bad Luck effect, which means that when you open up loot chests or mine ores that drop multiple things, which in 1.18 is everything, you have worse drop rates. But when you tap Chromium, you get the Good Luck effect and Feruchemy Fortune, which I don't know what that does, but I'm pretty sure that just makes it so when you break ores, you have a better drop rate. One person in the Discord chat for the Mistcraft server said that they got over 1,000 diamonds from a single ore vein using chromium compounding, which I'll explain in a minute. Necrocell stores Investor. This is a bit complicated. In fact, I'm going to put another sign here. Reminder, cover this at the end, just because this is a pretty complicated thing. So gold stores help. When you right-click your gold, you take damage, eventually whittling down and killing you if you're not careful. For some reason, though, it's not killing me. I assume that I'm on peaceful. No, I'm not. Oh, there we go. I'm now taking damage. This will kill you if you let it, so make sure to be careful with gold. I recommend using a regeneration beacon nearby when you do this, but for most people that won't be available, so just be mindful while you're storing gold. However, when you tap gold, you get the regeneration effect. And then you can tap it at higher levels, all the way up to level 3, giving you regeneration 4, which is equal to a golden apple. Enchanted golden apple, sorry. Major difference there. Electrum is determination, so I'm going to store a little bit more gold to take some damage. So now that I've taken some damage, I am going to start storing Electrum, and I'm going to eat food. So, damage. As you can see, I am not regenerating health. That is because Electrum makes it so that while you are storing it, you have this damaged effect, which when you do it initially, it'll deal a little bit of damage, and then it will make it so you do not regenerate any more health. However, this also has a really good effect, because when you tap it, you get the absorption effect, giving you this extra set of hearts, making you extremely hard to kill if you use this properly. Cadmium is breath, which means that while you are tapping it, at the second level, oh, never mind, third level or higher, you get the water breathing effect. However, when you're storing it, you can start drowning while on land, which is a pretty nasty effect if you aren't aware of it. As you can see, I'm starting to drown because I am storing cadmium. Now, Bendalloy is storing nutrition. When you right-click it, you get the hunger effect, draining you of all your hunger. But when you tap it, you get your hunger bars filled back on. So I mentioned this compounding thing earlier. And, actually, wait a minute. Necrocell! So, Necrocell, as I said that I was going to mention, it stores Investor. So, I've got this Necrozal mine with iron and steel, the one from earlier. So, I'm going to store Necrozal. And on its own, as you can see, it's not filling up. It's just there. But now, I'm going to start storing iron. Now, if you pay attention, my iron is not filling up. This actually will be easier shown if you look at steel. As you can see, my steel is not being filled up, but Necrozal is. This is a very interesting effect because it makes it so that you can store something effectively unlimited in an unlimited amount, because Necrozal is stored before the other thing. And if you store multiple things at the same time, Necrozal will in turn be stored significantly quicker. Now, just to show that it was Necrozal doing this, I'm going to stop filling Necrozal. And as you can see, steel is being filled up and iron. Now, what is the benefit of doing this? Well, if I were to take something like gold. So now I've taken some gold and added it to this metal mine. Now, as you can see, I cannot tap this gold. But now, I'm going to tap Necrozal, and now I can tap gold. At least. So you first need to store a little bit of something. So I've stored a little bit of my gold, and now I'm going to start tapping Necrozal, and then I'm going to tap gold. And as you can see, I'm getting the benefits of tapping gold to the 4th level, despite the fact that I'm just tapping Necrozal right now. Now both of them have faded. So pretty much, Necrozal is a allomantic battery. Sorry, Feruchemy battery, which means that you can use it to supplement the use of other things when you are tapping them, and it also makes it so things like iron that have positive effects when you're storing them, it makes it so that you are able to store them for longer. Meaning that Necrozal, while on its own, is extremely useless. When it's paired with other things, it is quite strong. Now back to the end. Compounding. You can burn metal while using Feruchemy. I assume it's something like Feruchemy or something like that. I can't pronounce it, okay? Either way, compounding. I'm going to tap iron, and I am also going to burn iron. Now if I go over here, look, it's golden now, and I can always tap it at the golden level. Now I got resistance 3 and slowness 3, and now I'm going to stop burning iron. Now it's just the slowness effect. its resistance to and slowness to. You get an increased effect when you are tapping something while burning the allomancy equivalent, and it also makes it so you can do things such as burning steel and steel for super speed, compounding gold and electrum for unlimited health because you've got regeneration like 8 or whatever this is. In fact, I'm going to give myself the effect of Wither, like, for 10 seconds, Wither 100. And I'm not dying. That's kind of a big deal. Just for comparison, I'm going to give myself that effect again, right here. Oh, never mind. Turns out there's only one level of Wither. Fine then, I'm going to give myself the poison effect. Poison for 10 seconds at poison level 100. Actually, it turns out just triple tapping both of them makes you invincible, but then you tap both of them at compounding levels and you become completely invincible. 255 poison level still does not kill you. Compounding is OP. And now I can do a comparison and see that I'm losing health extremely quickly. But then the moment I start tapping this stuff, I'm healing before I die. So, in short, compounding is extremely strong. And also, you know, you can't become a Feruchemist in survival mode without the use of commands. Although, we do have another mod to cover called Hemorrhagy. Let's take a quick look. Hemorrhagy. Oh, okay, we've got these spikes. Wait a minute. Allomantic tin. Feruchemy copper. So while editing, I figured out I missed a few things during this. One of them, when you put a metal mine into your curio slots, you're able to utilize it regardless of whether or not it's in your hotbar. Normally, you can only access the metal mine in your hotbar, the one in your first slot taking priority over the one all the way up into your ninth slot. So, for example, if I were to have my other metal mine here, I would be using this metal mine instead of the one here. And also, it's pronounced like Feruchemy. Feruchemy? Brandon Sanderson, why? Yeah, I just double checked. It is pronounced Feruchemy. However, that means.